Hello, hello, hello. I don't know if anybody is out there. I'm doing this completely spontaneously, basically just to see who's out there. And hello, hello, hello. I don't know if anybody is. And that's my stream coming back through because I forgot to mute the stream. That was silly. Having said that, I would do a stream instead in lieu of Johnny because he was having technical problems trying to get his OBS working over in New York. Having said, I would jump on instead of that. I came back to discover that he'd managed to get on using his phone, which is great. So he was on for about half an hour, which is fantastic. So if there's nobody there, then there's nobody there. But if you are about and you didn't manage to get any of your questions answered with Johnny on his phone, then you've got me just now. If not, then that's fine. I was intending to do a stream tomorrow anyway, because it's the weekend, and I like to try and do my live streams on the weekend. But yeah, that's entirely up to you guys. If there are people here. And it looks like at the moment there is nobody watching, which is a little bit disappointing, but I'm sure I can maybe fix that. I am live now. I just copied the video URL. There, and see if anybody. Skip is here. Skip is here. He posted a message and then deleted it. Maybe it's because he was saying exactly what I just said. Is that your budgie? Is it alive? My budgie? Where? What budgie? What are you talking about, Skip? I am not sure what you refer, my friend. The only thing I have in this studio is Kevin, and he's fine. He keeps watch over me and makes sure that I don't take too long over my mixes. I understand, as I say, that Johnny managed to get on his phone. He didn't have enough bandwidth to get OBS going. Yes, I know how that feels, because I cannot get OBS working either, as we all know. But yeah, so I'm here for a wee while if people are around. If they're not, then I'll just end this just now. Rainer is here. Hey, Rainer, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. So people are beginning to drift in, having realized that I'm online, which is cool. So we'll wait for a few more people to jump in, and then we can get this short little completely impromptu party started. And it will be short because it is 1 o'clock in the morning here, but I kind of figured if Johnny was having technical problems that I would just jump in, but he managed to get going, so that's cool. For about half an hour. So I will be on here for a few, and then I'll skedaddle out of here. But yeah, I am planning to do a stream tomorrow night, so if you miss this one, don't worry. I'm planning to do a proper full-length stream tomorrow. At least that is the current plan. I'll have to see what happens tomorrow, but I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to be doing. Raina says, I'm fine. You something my final mix. Oh, received your final mix. I believe you emailed it to me, yes. I haven't had a chance to take a listen yet, but I will do, Raina, and we can hook up if we need to. Yeah, we can book that in. Bobby Booth is here. Bobby never misses a stream, which is fantastic. Skip's going to spread the word. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, this was totally kind of impromptu. This was not what I was planning to do at 1 a.m. But that's cool. I like hanging out with my friends. I like answering your questions. I like helping you guys out. So that is why I'm here at 1 a.m. There we go. That was fun. Yeah, I've been playing around with using a phaser on my roads at the moment, which gives it a little bit of a nice 1970s sound. Thinking of that for a couple of songs for my next EP, which has been put back a little bit in my scheduling. I was supposed to be mixing it this month, but as it is, the songs are not finished and tracking hasn't even started yet. So things have just been pretty busy here, a bit busier than I thought they were going to be. So I've had to juggle my schedule around a bit. So probably my EP will come out next year, early next year, probably like right in the beginning of the new year. So yeah. And I don't have a title for it yet. I've got some ideas. I got some very clear ideas. It's going to be a very different sound than the last one. Bobby says, got MIDI drums too, but we'll have to watch Volume 1 again. That's cool. Pretty much Volume 2 picks up exactly where Volume 1 left off. And that was intentional. So the two are meant to go together. So yeah, if you need to go revisit Volume 1 and then get straight into Volume 2, because it uses pretty much exactly the same material for demonstration purposes and that kind of stuff. So it's easy to get into. Hi, Greg. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Greg Lewis. What was I saying? Oh, yes. MIDI drums made easy. Yes, Volume 2 is out. And people are going and buying it, which is fantastic. The more the people that buy it, the merrier, the better, as far as I'm concerned, because then more people get better at drum programming, which means you don't need to hire drummers like me. No, I'm only kidding. And Skip is back. Fantastic. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. So we got 5 people here, which is great. 5 people is better than being on my own, which is where it was at the start. YouTube literally said, yeah, 0. So this is cool. 5 people is better than 0. So yeah, so MIDI Drums Made Easy Volume 2 is out and about on the homerecordingmadeeasy.com website. Not bad for $20, says Bobby Booth. I hope it's a little bit better than not bad. I hope it's actually more towards the good or very good end of the spectrum than the not bad end of the spectrum. But yes, Bobby, you have pretty much purchased everything that I've produced so far, being that you've purchased both of everything I have produced so far. I really do appreciate it. Volume 3, I'm not going to give too much away about, but it is in production and it will be available probably towards the end of January 2018. And I'm working on something else in the interim, which is going to be completely different and not involve MIDI at all, but it is going to be excellent. It is going to be phenomenal. And it's going to be completely unique, working on something very, very cool. So you will see that coming up just in time for Christmas. I think that's kind of the target, which is why my EP has been pushed back to accommodate it. So because it's going to be such a cool thing to get out there for you guys. So there you go. And Doug, my man, Doug is in the house. He says, hey, Crazy House, what are you doing starting a live stream at 1 a.m.? Yes, I know. And my kids are literally just there. They're the other side of this wall. But Raina says, one of you added me to the Learning to Mix group. I still don't know how to pay without PayPal. Raina, what I suggest you do is you send an email to David Vignola, and he'll get you sorted out. That's what I suggest you do. But yeah, thanks for letting me know. Appreciate that. For those of you who don't know, I help Dave and Pete with administering the Learning to Mix Facebook group, and I help basically make sure that the content for the website is of good quality. I'm basically the quality assurance guy. That's what I do over there for them. So that's cool. Yeah, so my kids are literally just the other side of this wall, and they sleep through pretty much everything. I mean, I have recorded vocals in here, I've recorded guitar in here, I've recorded tenor saxophone and trumpet in here, and the kids didn't wake up at all. In fact, they never knew anything had happened the next morning. They're just like, I didn't know you'd recorded saxophone last night, Daddy. I was just like, yes. Doug says email for David Vignola. Yes, that's for Raina with regard to the learningtomix.com group, which is awesome, by the way. If you have not gone and checked out learningtomix.com, please go and do so. It's a fantastic resource for learning to mix, and it's really, really cool. A lot of you guys are already there, which is great. And I hope you guys are enjoying it and you're getting a lot out of it. The first month's song was my song Chanel from my album last year, my EP last year. And actually, the mixes you guys all did were fantastic. They were really good. There wasn't anything there that made me cringe, and there wasn't anything there that made me go, oh dear. You know, it's just like they're all really good and, you know, different. People had different ideas about how to treat the vocal. People had different ideas about how to deal with the soprano sax. Now, you know, the big challenge of that song, Chanel, was the soprano sax, getting that, because it is so dynamic all over the place, dynamically, getting that to sit in the mix without over compressing was a little bit tricky. I mean, Dave found it tricky. Pete found it a challenge as well. I mean, it's my song, and I know the guy who played it, so I know him very, very well. I've known him for 40 years, and so I know kind of what he's like. So I kind of knew what to do with it. But Bobby says you haven't heard my mixes. Bobby, you know what? Nobody's mix is bad, really. You know, we're all at different parts, different stages on our learning journey. I don't think anybody's mix is bad, to be honest. I think, you know, there are just different things that we need to learn and different techniques that we need to get a grasp of. You know, not everybody rides their bike doing wheelies the first time they get on it. Most people don't. Most people have a few falls and a few scrapes and a few bumps, and sometimes they draw some blood. I certainly did. Riding a bike, learning to ride a bike, and learning to mix. So, you know, I'm a good few years further down the line now, and so I rarely fall off the bike, but occasionally it does happen. Occasionally I get a blowout. Occasionally I get a flat tire. Occasionally I make a mistake and use the front brake instead of the back brake and go over the handlebars. I might have pushed this analogy too far. But yes, nobody's mix is bad. You know, and, you know, occasionally I do a mix which I listen back to and I cringe. I still do that, and I've been mixing for a lot of years now. So there we go. That's my opinion. All right. We've been on for 15 minutes or so. I'm not going to be on for a huge amount of time because it is like after 1 a.m. here. And I have a very busy day tomorrow. And I was already planning and intending to do a stream tomorrow night, so I may just make that the big thing. So yeah, but I just thought it'd be a nice to have a chat with my mates and see how you're all doing. And if you did have any burning questions, things that need dealt with kind of like today, then yes, get your questions in and we'll deal with them. Doug says, nice job on the Presence XT Symphony Orchestra videos. I like them all so far. Brass was a blast. Doug, that is an excellent pun. And yes, I thoroughly enjoyed doing the brass episode. And the piece of music that you heard at the beginning of that episode, if you've not been and watched that episode, go and check it out. The piece of music at the start is a piece called Softly Spoken, which I wrote earlier this year and had originally arranged it for a different instrumentation, for a completely different instrumentation. And I decided to rearrange it for the brass elements of the Presonus Symphonic Orchestra add-on, and then add some rhythm section to it as well. And I thought it worked out pretty good. So on that piece of music, you have you have 3 trombones, 3 French horns, and 3 trumpets in the brass ensemble, plus you have upright bass, which is recorded live here, drums again, which are recorded live just out beyond that door in the hallway. It was the only way I could do it. And I had literally just about enough room. Basically, the way I had to do it was to sit in the doorway with the drums facing that way, and one mic inside the kick drum, excuse me, one mic inside the kick drum, and then 2 overheads. And it worked out pretty good. Surprisingly well, actually, considering the shoddy miking. And piano provided from this guy here, and some guitar using an Ibanez semi-hollow body electric guitar, which you can't see. It's just over here in the corner. It's a great guitar, and I love it. And it worked out beautifully for that piece of music. And then I had a solo flugelhorn, which comes from the brass section of the Presence XT library. It's not from the orchestra. Raina says, drive a bike without a bike can be painful sometimes. Yes. Coming off your bike is pretty painful. Sorry, I've got a bit of an itch. Doug says, Johnny, you should charge at least $10 for these videos. We'd all pay that and you'd make some too. Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm kind of posting them up ultimately so that they can go into the Presonus forum. That's kind of the fundamental idea behind it, because it's a Presonus product that I really love. I think it's a fantastic product, and I'd love to see more people, getting into it and finding that it's actually something that you can very easily get a handle of and get some orchestral sounds into your music without really needing to know too much about orchestration. I will say this, though, on the subject of orchestral libraries, virtual orchestras, whether you're using the Miroslav Symphony, the Vienna Symphony, and a few of the other ones that are floating about that you can get for extraordinarily large sums of money, it really does help if you know something about orchestration. If you know something about what instruments and what voices of the orchestra work well together and what won't work well together. That kind of really helps. Like some fundamental basics will really help you, like probably not a good idea to have flutes and open trumpets close voiced together, because the trumpets will overwhelm the flutes just because of the dynamic range of the instruments. So a few basics like that, knowing those are a good idea. Use woodwind and brass to kind of complement each other. So maybe in a call and response sense will help you with your orchestration. So you kind of get them out the way of each other. If you're going to have them playing together, then voice your woodwinds above your brass, preferably. Or try and achieve the balance using dynamics is another good way you can do it. There you go. Orchestration 101. You heard it here. Raina says it's a great song and you heard it on SoundCloud. Cool. Doug says, send Johnny $10. He does so much for us. What is different than what Johnny, David, and Joe give us? Send him $10 via PayPal and show some appreciation. Why not? Doug, thank you so much, mate. I appreciate that. There are 8 of us in the room. And if you really would like to do that, then I can post up in the chat just now my PayPal link. I'll just have to go and get it because I can never remember it off the top of my head. Now that I have learned, now that I've learned that I can actually post links in the chat, it makes sense to put it in here. So that's what I'm going to do. So if you so desire to make a donation, and you can if you wish, you don't have to. I'm not going to make anybody. I'm not going to get upset if you don't. If you just pass it by, if you can't afford it, if you genuinely cannot afford to give $10, fine, don't give. Don't feel under any compulsion whatsoever to donate anything. So I'm going to post that here. There we go. And I'm going to get my Hangout screen back up over the top of that there. So yeah. So if you want to do that, do it. If you don't, then don't. It's fine. I'll not be offended. But Doug, I really do appreciate it. Raina says, 35 years ago, I learned to play tuba, and the tuba on the brass section sounded natural. Yeah, thanks for that, Raina. Again, many years ago, I played in a brass band. I played percussion in a brass band, actually. And I used that for doing, well, basically, I learned a lot about orchestration from being in that brass band because, you know, orchestration is just as much a big thing for brass ensembles as it is for full orchestra. And so I learned how to blend, you know, soprano, alto, and tenor and bass instruments really well from doing that. And tuba is a beautiful instrument. When it's played really well, it sounds awesome. Doug says, use PayPal family and friends process. It saves Johnny a fee. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. I'm not quite sure how you do that, but yeah, go ahead. If you're going to donate, then use Doug's suggested method. Because I don't know how that works. But we've got 7 people here now, and we've been going for 23 minutes. I'm going to round this up to a full 30 minutes, and then we'll call it a night. Man, my nose is so itchy. I don't know why. You did say woodwinds above brass, asks Beatrice. Yes, I did. Particularly things like cor anglais, oboe, and flute. And occasionally clarinet, although clarinet can overlap with some of the brass. But yes, those ones in particular, the flute, piccolo, oboe, cor anglais, you want to voice those above your brass, or kind of in such a way that the brass doesn't overwhelm them. So, you know, if you're going to have them playing together at the same time as brass, then get your trumpets out of the way. By either making the trumpets play in lower register and have the higher woodwind voices at the top. And the other thing you can do is you can double those higher woodwind voices on your strings, on your violins, and so like your second violins and violas can double those as well to add some weight to those um, to those voicings that you've got there. But yeah, I mean, a lot of orchestration, there are a lot of rules, there are a lot of principles that govern how you orchestrate for orchestra. It's pretty complex. It takes a lot of years to learn it. But as Hans Zimmer said, he recently, I don't know if you've ever seen something called Masterclass, where you can pay up for a masterclass with somebody who is big in the industry. Like Herbie Hancock did one on improvisation recently, which was outstanding. I actually purchased that one. And Hans Zimmer, the film composer, who writes some of the best film music, second only probably to John Williams, he did a masterclass on composing for film. And used various examples from the films that he's written for. His masterclass is superb. And one of the things he said that really struck me was that he says, one thing I can tell you is I have absolutely no idea how to do your movie. You know, it's always a blank piece of paper. I come with no preconceived notions, no preconceived ideas of how to orchestrate, how to develop melody, how to, you know, give each character of the film a particular thematic idea. You know, those are the kind of things that kind of develop as the composer is watching this, you know, the cues that he gets sent, and reads the script and puts those two things together. You can develop kind of an idea of what this character is like, what kind of a sound they would produce. If you know, if you were to paint them with sound instead of colors, what would they be? You know, that's how John Williams works with his films. Like Indiana Jones has a particular theme that is used whenever he is on screen. That theme is there in the score, and it adjusts. It adjusts depending upon the mood of the scene that he is in, or the mood of the character, and how he is being affected as that scene plays out. So, you know, Williams is not above breaking some of the rules to give you, you know, to kind of develop a thematic idea for a particular character. But again, you know, orchestration, yes, there are rules about how you might voice things, how you might orchestrate a particular, like a B flat major chord across your whole orchestra. But one of the things that Hans said, he said, if there are rules, break them. Try it. You might find that you find a particular sound that works for your film, that works for that scene, that would make a musicologist cry or cringe or go, no, 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 that's not how you do it. But if it works, then it works. I'm starting to preach now, sorry. You know, the great composer Duke Ellington, who wrote for big bands and for theater shows in the 30s and 40s in particular, but continued right through the 50s and the 60s. He basically said, if it sounds right, it is right. Doesn't matter if it doesn't follow the rules. So there you go. Yeah, Masterclass. Yeah, you might have seen some of their short little commercials on YouTube. But yeah, you have to pay for the particular Masterclass. Have I ever heard of Philippe Jacot? I have, actually. Yes. Yes, he is a fantastic orchestrator. He does orchestrations as well for other film composers, as well as writing scores in his own right. As a lot of them did. A lot of the great film score composers, like John Williams, like Hans Zimmer, like Elmer Bernstein, and people like that, you know, they started out writing orchestrations for other film composers. And that's kind of how it works. I have a friend that does that. A friend of mine called Stu Kennedy. He does orchestrations for David Arnold. David Arnold wrote a lot of the scoring for the Lord of the Rings films. My friend Stu worked on those films and did the orchestrations. So there you go. How is your film score idea with the Danish Symphony? Yeah, it wasn't the Danish Symphony, it was the Metropole Orchestra. Go look them up on YouTube, actually. They've done, they're kind of like they're an orchestra in the traditional sense, i.e. they have traditional instrumentation for an orchestra, but they play jazz and popular styles, as well as, you know, kind of like more 20th and 21st century art music style orchestral music. They are directed by an Englishman by the name of Jules Buckley. And they played the Proms, actually. It might have been last year, but I think they played this year as well. Last year they played the BBC Proms with Corey Henry, the Hammond B3 organist, who is a genius out of Snarky Puppy, and who was the other person? Jacob Collier, English multi-instrumentalist, young guy who is just a phenomenon in his own right. He's famous for doing videos on YouTube. This is kind of where he started. He started making videos on YouTube where he did a cappella vocal arrangements of songs that he knew, that he liked. So he would like layer his own voice up in 6, 7, or 8 part harmony. And that's how he got his, and then his videos would just go completely viral because they were that good. And then Quincy Jones, the arranger and producer, basically saw his videos and kind of made contact, and the rest, certainly for Jacob, is history because he's now a Grammy Award winner. And basically Quincy Jones now manages him. So there you go. What else? Jacko. Listen to the movie Allies. I've seen that film, actually. Yeah, it's a great film as well. But going back to the score that I've been working on for the last, I don't know how many years. Metropole Orchestra. You want me to spell it? It's METRO, as in Metro, as in the New York Metro. Metropole, Pole, Pole. Metropole Orchestra. And they deliberately misspell the orchestra. They spell it ORKSTRA, Orchestra. But yeah, look them up. Look up Jules Buckley and the Metropole Orchestra. They are exceedingly good, and Jules Buckley's arrangements are just staggering that he does. They what did they do that blew me away at the Proms? They did Billie Jean, Michael Jackson's Billie Jean, with the Metropole Orchestra, Corey Henry, and Jacob Collier, and it was outstanding. The arrangement was just superb, breathtaking. But they've done a whole bunch of things. They did Snarky Puppy's album Silver, SYLVA, Silver, which is a series of compositions that are kind of tone poems about forests in the United States of America. And it's really, really great. And Jules and Michael League, who wrote the compositions, did the arrangements, and they're just it's just outstanding. There is a YouTube video of one of the performances of the work, and it's great. So yeah, my score idea is coming along slowly. I'm using Presonus's Notion to score it now, which has sped the whole process up quite a lot. I'm no longer using Sibelius. And mostly because of Sibelius is, Sibelius being purchased by Avid a few years back, and Avid, to me, my opinion, they've made Sibelius worse and not better. But there we go. Miles McGonagall is here. He says, just put my computer in a new case. Finally made it. Well, good to see you. This was completely spontaneous. I did not plan any of this, Miles. So, you've got nothing to worry about. My planned live stream was going to be tomorrow at midnight British Summer Time, 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. That was the plan, but I'm here. So Doug says, so what are you working on with them? Well, I'm not working with the Metropole Orchestra, but it's kind of like my dream to be able to have them perform the work when I've finished it. So I'd like to get like a jazz quartet featuring soprano saxophonist Bill Evans, get a quartet together and have the orchestra in that as well. So it's kind of like a work for small jazz quartet and full orchestra. And I've been working on this since 1996. That tells you a lot. Yeah. I've been writing it out by hand for a lot of those years. But as I say now, I'm doing it in PreSonus Notion because, my handwriting sucks and nobody could read it at rehearsals. So there you go. But yeah, I would dearly love to get in touch with Jules and send him a recording mocked up in Notion and Studio One, probably using the PreSonus Symphony Orchestra, to see if he could do something with it and perform it maybe. But I suspect it would cost a lot of money. So I don't know. It's a dream, to be honest, but I'm going to pursue it and I'm going to see if I can actually get something going and see if I can make that happen. So there you go. That is where we are, my friends. So, yeah, working on a new EP, which is probably going to come out at the end of January sometime. Working on some instrumental stuff as well. I've just, as I said earlier, I've just released this piece called Softly Spoken. I'm working on something else for Christmas. I'm going to be working on arrangement of A Christmas Carol, doing it in my own kind of way with my own kind of sense of harmony. So, yeah, so I'm going to butcher A Christmas Carol in some way, shape, or form. So stay tuned for that. I will do my best to advertise that a bit better than I did Softly Spoken. Beatrice Dubry says, oh my, so songs from 2013 are nothing in comparison to 1996. You know what? I've been writing songs since probably 1984. Maybe even before that, maybe even 1982, 1983. And I write a lot. I write prolifically. I write lots and lots of songs, and really, I've probably got enough material to be making records for the next decade. Yeah, Softly Spoken is released. Yep, you can go get it at nimbitmusic.com/Johnny Lipsham. I can put that link in the chat as well. Why not? So you would go to www.nimbitmusic.com/Johnny Lipsham. Spelled that all right? Well, I didn't put the HTTP on there. Oopsie. But you know what to do with that. Just paste that into your URL and it'll be fine. It should work. Now I'm noticing I've just flicked back to see what the stream quality is like, and I've noticed it's pretty poor. I do apologize about that. Yeah, the bandwidth here is not great. We're obviously running at under a meg per second, but we've also got some atmospheric issues as well, which actually, believe it or not, does affect my internet. If there is low pressure, which there is at the moment, my internet slows down considerably, and it's already slow enough. Upload. So yeah, do apologize for that. I am trying my best to do something that is of a reasonable quality live stream wise. So I apologize if the quality is off-putting to anybody. I'm hoping that the content is better than the picture quality. So, okay, we are down to 6 people. We've been on for 40 minutes. I'm going to be wrapping this up in the next 4 minutes. So if you have a burning question that you'd like to get up and get me answering, get it up there now. Type as fast as you possibly can. And if perchance I miss your question, then don't hesitate to email the question to me. And either I can get a video made, or I can address your question tomorrow in tomorrow's stream. Doug says, does Katrina sing? You should get her on one of your songs. She does sing. She plays saxophone as well. She made an appearance on my 2013 album, Swings on Roundabouts. She did backing vocals on, I think, 3 songs out of the 7 that were on that record. And she did a little bit of backing vocals on Belonging to Tomorrow as well. But yeah, so we do some work together. She comes in and sings backing vocals on a few songs. And that's really all that she wants to do for my songs, really. But we do actually have plans to make some recordings of songs that are her personal favorites. So I would think that she would probably sing lead on those. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see where that goes and see if that's something she really wants to do. It's an idea I'm toying with. I've not even spoken to her about that yet. So, shh. So, yes. Raina says, have a good night. See you all. And Deirdre says, see you tomorrow. Yes, I am intending to be here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So assume that it is going ahead unless I post up an announcement to say that it is not. Okay? That would be the way I do it. Because tomorrow is quite busy. So I'm going to try and make sure that I can do it, because I like to try and keep the live stream on the weekend open and available for you guys. All right, so until then, it is 1:45 in the morning here. And Ridwan Mohammed is a brand new person. Welcome. Good to see you. How to play with stock reverb in Studio One. There are many ways you can use the stock reverb in Studio One. You can put it as an insert on your channel that you are wanting to affect. But if you were to do that across lots of channels, it will eat up your CPU very quickly. So the best way to use the stock reverb in Studio One is to select the channels that you want to affect with reverb. And then, if you've got, like, say, 5 tracks that you want to, or 5 channels rather, that you want to affect with reverb, click the first one, hold the Shift key down on your keyboard, and click the last one, and it will select all of those channels. And then you right-click, and you get a little pop-up menu that appears, and you choose add an effects channel for selected channels. And you click that, and then that opens up an effects channel. Then you go to your browser, you drag the reverb onto that effects channel, and all of those channels are automatically sending to that reverb, and then you just adjust the little send levels where you got the little blue slider on each one of your channels. You adjust those to give you the amount of signal that you want to send to that reverb. Once you've got that reverb on there, the first thing I would suggest you do is you follow that up with an EQ and put a high-pass filter on there. Roll that high-pass filter up to somewhere between 200 and 250. Okay, because you want to make sure that you don't have low end in your reverb, because that will build up and build up and build up, and it'll make your mix sound very muddy. So do that, and then I would then go and adjust the size and the dampness and all of those parameters on the reverb to taste until you've got something that sounds good. My rule of thumb with reverb is very simple. What I do is I turn it up until it's very, very obvious, and then I dial it back until I can perceive it rather than hear it. And then you've got the reverb at pretty much the right level. Because what a lot of people do is they tend to oversaturate their mix with reverb, and it just sounds mushy. And the idea of reverb is to give the mix a sense of space, or to put a lead vocal in its own particular space and give that a sense of width and breadth. But also you can use reverb to put things further back in the mix as well. So there's a whole bunch of different ways in which you can play with the reverb to get what you want. So it really depends upon what you want to do with that reverb, Ridwan, to be honest. So have an intention in mind before you start dragging in reverbs, okay? Have a clear idea in your mind. What do I want to do? What is the sound I'm looking for? And then you get it set up like I recommend, and then you can play with it until what you hear coming out of your speakers matches what's in that intention. Okay? That will be the final question of the evening. I will see you all tomorrow night. Bye for now.